Hey Wargamers, today we're going to do a podcast style army list review. If you're not familiar with how these work, basically this is something I do for my supporters over on Patreon. Any of those supporters over there can go ahead and send me an army list and I will take that army list, look at its strengths, weaknesses, talk about that a little bit, and then go ahead and make a revision of that army list that tries to stay with the main concept of the original list while making tweaks here and there, hopefully to improve the performance of the list. So that's what we're doing today. Today we're talking about a fluffy towel list. So this is from Julian, one of the patrons over on Patreon, and he wanted this to be a fluffy list, but asked me to make some adjustments that might help it work a little bit better. So that's what we're doing. We'll start off with that original list. Both the original and the revised lists are provided in a link in the description below. So if you want to see all the details, you can there. And go ahead and follow along as well. So, all right, this is going to be a 3-detachment, 2,000-point list. Each detachment has its different Sept. So there's a Vior Law Sept detachment, a Sakia Sept detachment, and a Tau Sept detachment as well. So we'll start off with that Vior Law Sept detachment. This is a battalion. It includes an emergency dispensation. So we're getting an additional relic here. The HQ has Unshi and a commander in a Cold Star battlesuit with advanced targeting system, flamer, high output burst cannon, missile pod, and then that flamer is being switched out for a thermoneutronic projector, which I love. I love the thermoneutronic projector. It's actually, it's a great choice if you're going to be fighting against things that have -1, -2 to hit, or if you're planning on having your Cold Star be charged. I think the thermoneutronic projector is a great choice for that reason. However, it's actually slightly less efficient than the Supernova launcher, just because that has 18-inch range and has a little bit better profile as well. So, really, if we were looking to be a little bit more competitive, I probably would drop the thermoneutronic projector, but it's just so much fun. We'll keep that in there. As far as Unshi for an HQ choice, he's really he has a Vior Law Sept designation. So if you're going to bring Unshi, this is where he needs to be. But I really am not a huge fan of him. I don't think that he is going to bring a lot to your table, and really is just kind of a cool idea that doesn't really do anything on the tabletop. So, if you want to bring him for fluff reasons or for fun, go for it. But yeah, not my first choice. In troops, we have a unit of 10 breachers. We have another unit of 10 breachers, and we have a unit of Kroot. Kroot do have a place, certainly in competitive lists, and even more so in fluffy lists. I don't think that it's the fluffiest choice for a Vior Law Sept detachment. I'd rather see it something like Dalith or maybe Tau Sept. For Vior Law, I really think about them relying heavily on their fire warriors, having that tenacious warrior training that they're renowned for. And so Kroot don't totally fit that in my head logic, but if you want to bring him, you can, and I guess that's kind of the theme for a fluffy list, right? If you want to bring it, you can, but I would probably go with something like Strike Team instead, just because we we're looking to kind of be fluffy, and that feels a little bit fluffier to me to have a Strike Team from Vior Law than Kroot Carnivores. Additionally, here we have 2 10-man units of breachers. That's the maximum size of breachers you can have. But there are also 2 Devilfish, and so we have 12 slots available in those Devilfish, and if we are bringing only 10-man units, there's 2 slots per Devilfish that are vacant. Granted, we can fill that up with people like Unshi, but really I think I would prefer to see a little bit more investment in these breachers just to top them off. And split them into 6-man groups, so that way you can put 2 6-man units in a Devilfish, and fill it up to the rim. That's going to give you a little bit more bang for your buck on that Devilfish, and allow those breachers to unload just a little bit more on whatever target they're looking to take out. Moving on to the Sakia detachment, we have an Ethereal with an Honor Blade. This is a little redundant with Unchi. In fact, it's pretty, most of the things you would bring an Ethereal for, Unchi is going to be doing just by himself anyway. So it does give you access to 2 invocations, which is nice. And this is going to give you a benefit for your drone squadrons and giving them a little bit more leadership potentially, especially from a Sakia Sept detachment. I think that's really where you want an Ethereal. So if I had to only take one Ethereal, it would be this one. I would drop Unchi and take something like a Fireblade instead. But Ethereal from Sakia, great choice. 3 Firesight Marksmen from Sakia as well. Great choices. Those are a little bit more of a competitive choice, I think, than a fluffy choice. But they will certainly fit into the list. And then we have 2 5-man Pathfinder teams. So we're real heavy on Pathfinders already, or real heavy on Marker Lights, that is. So from Sakia, having Pathfinders from Sakia is okay. You get that reroll, but really I would rather see Pathfinders either in a Tau detachment or in a Borkan detachment or even a Vior La detachment. Any of those 3, I think, fit a little bit more in terms of fluff, but also in terms of functionality on the tabletop, just because they're going to benefit from those Sept tenets a little bit better. The final detachment is a Tau Sept Vanguard detachment. For HQ, we have another Cold Star commander. He's going to be the Warlord with vectored maneuvering thrusters. So this is our primary relic that we're using, the primary signature system that we're using. So we don't have to pay an additional CP for this. It has 4 fusion blasters and I can't remember if I said Precision of the Hunter already for his Warlord trait, but that's what he has. So this is good. Vector maneuvering thrusters actually got a little bit of a nerf here with Big FAQ 2. So that's disappointing, but still a good choice. Still something that's going to allow your commander to duck behind other units or just get out of line of sight. Lots of uses for vector maneuvering thrusters, and something that I wish got a little bit more table time. So I like that choice. In terms of elites, we have a Riptide, and it's kitted out the way that a Riptide should be kitted out. So heavy burst can, smart missile system, advanced targeting, and target lock. Nothing to complain about there. I think that's great, and it is kind of fluffy that you only have 1 in the list, so that's nice. Then we have 2 Crisis Battlesuit units. The first one is 3 men, or three suits. The first suit has 2 cyclic ion blasters and a drone controller, and then the other 2 have 3 cyclic ion blasters, and then they're accompanied by 6 marker drones. At this point, we are more than sufficiently covered with Marker Lights, I think. There's a decreasing marginal return for Marker Light investment, and I think we're past that now. So I would like to see these marker drones be something else, especially since marker drones are one of the lower return on investment Marker Light sources that you can get. So I'd switch those out for either gun drones or shield drones, depending on the exact role of the Crisis Suit unit. But yeah, cyclic ion blasters are the way to go here. The drone controller also does not need to be there then if we're bringing something like shield drones. So that's an opportunity for an additional weapon and a more efficient Crisis Suit, which is good because they need it. So then moving on to the second Crisis Suit unit, we have a Crisis Suit with a drone controller and 2 burst cannons, and then 2 with 3 burst cannons each, and then the third one also has iridium armor. So this is good. There's 6 gun drones in this unit as well. 6 gun drones, I think, is tough. If you're able to get those that Sakia Ethereal up the board, like maybe he goes in maybe he hops into a Devilfish, but if you can get that Sakia Ethereal up to those gun drones, that'll be a little bit better. But still, that unit is going to be vulnerable to losses from morale. And then this is a really expensive unit for burst cannons. We're paying 282 points for strength 5 shots. I'd really rather see that done using Fire Warriors. I think that's a much more efficient choice, and it is pretty darn fluffy to have a bunch of Fire Warriors in a list. So I would rather see these Crisis Suits take on a little bit more specialized role. And then finally, there's a fast attack with 2 units of tactical drones. We have 1 4-man unit of marker drones. Again, I don't think we need any more marker drones. And then a 6-man unit of shield drones. Both this is kind of an uneven allocation of points. I'd rather see 2 5-man units of drones, either both shield drones or some other drone, like a gun drone, that might actually have a little bit more contribution here. But really, we're talking about just making these all into shield drones and splitting the difference so that we spread out the risk for morale across multiple units. All right, so that's the original list. I think it has some nice elements in it. It certainly has some fluffy elements to it that I like. I like that it focuses on breachers and not on strike teams as a matter of taste. So you really get the sense that this is a mobile, aggressive unit, or detachment, army, however you want to think about it. And yeah, so it has a nice fluff component to it. I think it's leaning way too heavily into marker lights, and I worry about potentially either the volume of fire or just having enough to deal with things like heavy armor. Of course, if you're playing a fluffy list, you're not going to be going against a balls to the wall competitive list, hopefully. So you don't have to worry about that quite as much. But still, I would like to see a little bit more of a well-rounded list in terms of anti-tank. So there's some things that we can do to improve that in the revision, and that's what we're going to do here now. Okay, so for the revised list, I've kept a lot of the things the same, just in terms of trying to maintain that original flavor of the list. So I've maintained the 3 detachments, I've maintained them as their original Septs, and a lot of the HQ units are the same, but I've made some brief changes that I think will make a difference. So in that first detachment, we still have Unshi, we still have that commander, and he's loaded out exactly the same. I spent a while thinking about this, about what I would like to see changed with this. And, to be honest, if I were going to be bringing a Cold Star commander from Viora Law, I would bring either 4 fusion blasters or 3 fusion blasters in a signature system. But that's clearly not what this commander is meant to be doing. So I left it the same. I kind of wanted to switch it out for, I kind of want to get rid of like the high output burst cannon or the missile pod or the flamer. Well, not the flamer, but the advanced targeting system. I tried getting rid of any of those. And of course, you can't get rid of the burst cannon without also getting rid of the missile pod, and you can't get rid of the missile pod without also getting rid of the burst cannon. So there's not a way to retain those two, and once you retain those two plus the flamer, really it just kind of makes sense to just take the advanced targeting system. So I think we're kind of locked in there. Although it's, as I said, if I were going to be bringing this for a little bit more competitive list, I would be focusing on fusion blasters. For troops, like I said, I've split the breacher teams into 4 6-man units. And then I do have a 5-man unit of Fire Warriors and a strike team. There, Shazwi has a marker light because I had a couple points left over, and I got rid of a bunch of marker lights elsewhere. So might as well. Then I have 1 Pathfinder unit in the Viora Law detachment. That's 5 Pathfinders. I have 2 Devilfish as before. Into the Sakia detachment, we have that Ethereal and the 3 Marksmen again, but that is it. We got rid of the other Pathfinder unit there. Moving on to the Tau detachment, we have that same Cold Star again. Really, if we were being a little bit more competitive, we would have our Warlord be someone else because Cold Stars have a tendency to die, but it is really fluffy to have your Cold Star be your Warlord. So then Elites, we have that Riptide still, and then I messed with the Crisis Suits a bit here. So crisis suits, the first unit is 9 cyclic ion blasters spread across 3 crisis suits. So no drone controller here. I've replaced it with a cyclic ion blaster. And then we just have 5 shield drones instead of marker drones. This is going to be good because it not only lends itself to taking care of those crisis suits, but you can also use those drones for the Riptide if it's nearby. And then the second unit of crisis suits, I've maintained the drone controller, but I've switched their loadout to be more plasma and flamer focused as opposed to burst cannon. I think you're going to, you don't get the strength 5 shots, but this does have them in a little bit more of a specialist role. So we have a drone controller with 2 plasma rifles, a flamer and 2 plasma rifles, and then a flamer and 2 plasma rifles with iridium armor, and then 6 gun drones in that unit. Again, those gun drones are going to be vulnerable, but I kind of like the idea of having this unit just drop down and just unload on some unsuspecting enemy infantry. And that's what this unit can do. It can take care of infantry pretty darn well. For fast attack here, we have 2 5-man stealth drone, or not stealth drones, that'd be cool, stealth drones. No, 2 5-man shield drone units. As I said, instead of having a 6-man and a 4-man, I just made these 2 5-mans and then made them all shield drones as opposed to anything else. So that's the list. Basically, we've focused a little less on marker lights, focused a little bit more on firepower and maneuverability, and that's it. So I think this list will do pretty darn well against infantry-focused opponents. It's still going to have a hard time with armor, but I think you have enough weight of fire and some specialized units, particularly with the Crisis and Riptide, that you can take out a fair slew of vehicles or monsters with this list. And then breachers actually can help with that quite a bit too. So yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Again, both of these lists are in the description over on the Invasive Wargaming Facebook page. So you can comment over there as well. But love to hear what you guys think. Oh, man. I'd love to hear what you guys think, what you like about it, what you change, everything like that. As always, thanks for watching, and of course, happy wargaming. Hey everyone, thanks for watching. This video is made possible by my supporters over on Patreon. If you enjoyed this video, consider joining our community over there. Special thanks to Max Harrison, Aaron Fox, Jared Egler, Nick Steele, Tal Oswell, Brian Mann, Stephen Cohen, Jake Johnson, Eric Jackson, Tim Piney, U-High Penguin, Benjamin, Andy M. Young, Peter Benjamin Parker, Julian Peck, RP, and Giovanni DiMaggio.